The 1987 edition of the Winston was NASCAR's version of what is now called the All-Star Race. The race took place on May 17, 1987 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina. The race was 135 laps, and it was an exhibition race cut up into 3 segments, which is pretty similar to what we've had over the years up until now. The Winston was open to race winners from last season through the 1987 Winston 500 at Talladega Superspeedway. This included the 1986 Atlanta Invitational, which was the previous year's All-Star race that took place at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and the only time it was not at Charlotte Motor Speedway until the 2020 All-Star race at Bristol Motor Speedway. The field had a requirement of 19 entries, and the field actually did not meet those requirements. The remaining spots were awarded to the most recent winning drivers prior to the 1986 season, and those drivers would be Greg Sachs, Harry Gant, Richard Petty, and Cale Yarborough. The 2 drivers that made this race special and produced one of NASCAR's most iconic moments would be Bill Elliott, who got the pole for the race and would roll off in the first spot, and of course Dale Earnhardt, who would roll off on the second row in the 4th starting position. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville leads the field to green.
The green flag is up, and here comes 20 of the best in NASCAR stock car racing, the Winston. Watch the first corner. Bill Elliott sitting on the pole has the position. Winston is right there with him. They could not blow Elliott off. The Thunderbird takes the lead authoritatively and coming down off turn number 2 and heading up the back straight. Bill Elliott has the lead, and he may be one of the guys out there who will try to go all the way in front. Remember, however, you've got to, Dale Earnhardt almost got on the wall. You had another car get loose. It was Earnhardt who almost tipped the wall, and Jeff Bodine's rear end was floating all over the racetrack.
Well, what really happened then, Bodine got down in the tree a little hard, Keith, and did slide up into Dale Earnhardt.
Turns 3 and 4 at the conclusion of the first lap of the race, Jeff Bodine slid up the track, got into Dale Earnhardt, and put Dale Earnhardt basically in the wall, and Dale Earnhardt lost several spots and was buried deep in the field and had to claw his way back up to the front.
All right, let's take a look at what happened as we take another look at it, and watch what happens up here coming into turn 4. That's the tricky portion of this racetrack. There's been more trouble in turn 4 than any place else on this racetrack, and you can see Earnhardt going right up against the wall as he and Bodine tipped a little bit, but he fought it off and held his car and is still running and undamaged.
On lap 22, Bill Elliott had a commanding lead and was looking pretty much untouchable up until this point in the race. Cale Yarborough was the only car in the field that had an onboard camera, and this was pretty cool for 1987. Check this out.
But that's one of the rigors of becoming a car owner, because he has, like Buddy Baker, become a car owner. But let's watch through our race cam now and get a feel of what it's like to run this racetrack, and from a man who has had good times and bad times on the Charlotte Motor Speedway, Donnie Allison.
Well, Keith, we're coming out onto the front straightaway now, which you know is not a straightaway. It's like a trioval. It's got 2 little bends in it. And then number 1 corner and number 2 corner are completely different than 3 and 4. And you have a tendency to get into this corner a little bit too hard sometimes and make the car get out of the bottom lane. But the ideal place is to stay in the bottom.
On lap 55, Bill Elliott would bring his Ford Thunderbird down pit road for a pit stop, as the first segment was 75 laps, and that was around 20 laps outside of the fuel window, so there was no way that anyone was going to make it to the end of the segment. So every car would have to hit pit road.
Allison in the pits with 22.1 seconds. Dale Earnhardt is in. They're all coming now. Elliott in and out.
Just goes to show you just how far pit crews have come since 1987, as now, especially with the 1 lug nut in the Cup Series, these guys are changing 4 tires faster than they just changed 2 right side tires. The first incident and yellow flag of the race would come out on lap 66 when Richard Petty and Neil Bonnet got into an accident in turn numbers 3 and 4. Unfortunately, there was no replay of this incident, as in 1987 they just didn't have as many cameras around the racetrack like they do today, but Dr. Jerry Punch did get this interview with Richard Petty to get some insight on what happened.
First of all, Richard, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right.
What happened up there?
The 50 blew an engine. I was racing with a 33 car, and 33 went under him, and the 50 was on the outside, and just as we started in the corner, he blew an engine, and I went low, and then he come low, and I didn't get quite enough on the outside of him, and I just clipped him enough to tear my car up.
Well, this car can't be good luck for you. This is the one they repaired in Daytona a couple of years ago when you hit your shoulder and dislocated. I think I take this car out and put it somewhere and hide it.
Well, I think after it's beat up good enough today, I imagine they won't mess with it. We'll go home and get another one for the 600.
Well, better luck to you on the 600. Richard Petty's car pretty heavily damaged.
Bill Elliott still in the lead. He would lead the field back to green for a 4-lap shootout to the end of segment number 1.
And here they come, and Elliott just rockets into the lead. I think Waltrip was pushing Bodine. Looked to me like he had his bumper right on him.
Very definitely was pushing, Keith.
And now Bodine, a little bit slow for the acceleration, is now going down the back straight and has Bill Elliott in his sights, closing in on him. Bodine is in the gold and white car right behind the leader, Elliott. Waltrip is now running third. Dale Earnhardt is now running 4. Rusty Wallace is 5. Let's watch Earnhardt for a moment as you look back here. Now watch Earnhardt in that yellow and blue car. See if he can run those turns a little faster. See him close up in the middle. Now can he hold on? He picked up some in the middle of the turn, but he can't gain on the straightaway. Elliott has 2 leads. Bodine 1. Elliott stretches it a bit on the back straight, working 3. Bodine closes in the middle. Earnhardt is dropped back. It's going to be Bill Elliott streaking to win segment number 1. Bodine second, Waltrip third, Earnhardt 4, Wallace 5, Richmond 6.
Bill Elliott would win segment number 1 of the Winston and collect a $25,000 check for doing so. Unfortunately, I'm missing some footage at the beginning of segment number 2, but Bill Elliott maintained his lead and actually pulled out to a pretty good one over second place now, Dale Earnhardt, as he's worked his way back up to second. All 50 laps in the second segment did go green, and the only thing that really happened was Harry Gant and Buddy Baker both having mechanical problems and retiring from the race.
So we've got the white flag, 1 lap to go for the leader, Bill Elliott. That's your checkered flag, I'm sorry. They're not using the checker and won't use the checker until the end of the 10-lap finale. They put a white flag up there indicating it's over. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw the white and I thought it was 1 to go. So it's Elliott's show so far.
Up until this point, Bill Elliott is just absolutely dominated. He seems like he's in a class of his own. By winning the second segment, he picked up another check, this time of $50,000, as Dale Earnhardt ran second in the segment and Jeff Bodine ran third. But now this is where things really start to get interesting, as a 10-lap shootout is all that's left to settle the 1987 edition of the Winston.
If it drops off the track, green flag is waiting. There he goes. And here they come. Bodine bids for the lead, has it over the line. Elliott, however, is inside. Earnhardt may be pushing Bodine. Bodine going for the lead. Tire smoke. Bodine spinning. And Earnhardt goes into the lead as Elliott bumped, shoved out of the way. Elliott is second. Earnhardt has the lead. There are at least 3 cars involved in that, but only one of them clearly out of it. And the yellow flag has come out. They'll race to the yellow. So Earnhardt, who had a big lead of about 100 yards over Bill Elliott, will lose that advantage because of the almost automatic yellow flag. Now look, Bodine is flying under the yellow flag. Is he down off the racetrack? But Donnie, why would Bodine's heading for the pits? Engine smoking, tires smoking, and Bodine breaking loose literally up there in the middle of the turn.
Well, I'll tell you what happened, Keith. Bodine came down a little bit too soon on Bill Elliott, and they got together. That's what started the whole thing. And
Now, I know Jeffrey Bodine deserves a lot of credit for putting Hendrick Motorsports on the map, but I've always thought that he was one of the most overrated drivers ever, and 2 instances in this race, he was clearly driving over his head and made a mistake. I don't know what he was thinking there, if Bill Elliott was just going to disappear or what. Kind of a bonehead move, and ended up spinning himself out. This gave an amazing opportunity to Dale Earnhardt to go to the inside, avoid both the spinning Jeffrey Bodine and Bill Elliott, who went to the high side, and would end up being in the lead of the race. I'm sure little did you know at the time, but one of the most iconic moments in NASCAR history was about to happen. The actual moment of green flag was missed here by the broadcast, I believe, or I'm just missing the footage. But caution laps do not count in this last segment. However, that first lap of the segment did count, so Dale Earnhardt led the field back to green with 9 laps to go.
But it's Bill Elliott in that T-Bird that's been running faster than anybody all day, and he closes right in behind. Look how close he is to Earnhardt coming down off turn number 4. Eight laps we are running in now, working number 8 as Earnhardt. Elliott trying to slide underneath him, and Dale won't buy it.
And if you notice right there, Keith, there was a little bit of paint change hands right there too.
Elliott now getting a challenge from Tim Richmond, but he closes again right in behind Earnhardt, coming down off turn 4. And Earnhardt loses it, goes on the grass, comes back and hold on to his lead. And now Elliott gives up low and goes high. And he's loose in the turn and has to drop back. He got the wiggling around. Elliott almost went to the wall. And right now it's Terry Labonte with that big engine bidding for the lead alongside Earnhardt. Earnhardt trying to hold him off. Elliott is back in the number 4 position. Richmond's running 3rd. Earnhardt trying to hold off the challenge of Labonte. The first 2 segments. Now Earnhardt with the white flag out. He's in the final lap, and he has the lead over Labonte. Richmond is there. Labonte and Richmond will slam it to the firewall. Both of them. But then so will Dale Earnhardt. Here's the sprint down the final straightaway. On the backside of the 1.5-mile racetrack, Labonte looks to the inside. Nothing there. Earnhardt slams the door. Richmond's out of it. No way. He can pick it up in his position, number 3, and it is Earnhardt, Labonte, Richmond, 1, 2, 3, Earnhardt for $200,000.
Now look at this.
Kiss there. Somebody wrapped Earnhardt pretty good when they went by him.
And you know, everybody's talking about how nice some of these guys are. That kind of a race right there will bring the nice out.
It exposes it, doesn't it? Oh, me. Yes, sir. There was some knuckle busting in that one.
Dale Earnhardt gets it done. Jeff Bodine and Bill Elliott were clearly not happy with Dale. But that driving that Dale Earnhardt did there, honestly, if anyone doubts Dale Earnhardt one bit, just literally show them the last 9 laps of the 1987 Winston, and they will guaranteed change their mind. Dale Earnhardt is one of the best human beings to ever get behind the wheel of a race car. Just absolutely unreal. And one hell of a race and one hell of a finish. I love these old cars. This was 3 years before I was born, and I'm kind of sad I never got to see this in person, but at least I got to grow up in the 90s seeing Dale win championships and seeing the absolute golden years of NASCAR. I love Dale Earnhardt's post-race interview here too. You got to listen to this.
Well, he's trying to get unhooked and getting congratulated here by the crew and telling him what a great job they did. Dale, a tremendous race. First of all, congratulations on a great win.
Well, that was something else. You know, Bill spun that 95 car out and caused a big mess, and then he come up there and tried to spin me out twice. I didn't take it.
That when you got hit in the left rear coming through the tri-oval, that's a tremendous job of driving to hang on to the car. What'd you do to keep the car going straight?
I just held on to her. I did the best I could with it. You know, I'd like to thank Wrangler and everybody. Good wrench. You know, all the guys who did a super job. We kept adjusting on the car all day. It was getting better toward the end, but, you know, Bill and them got into it there and spun around, and we just missed them. And then I'd be darned if Bill didn't try to knock me out twice. He had me sideways going off a 4-2 over there and then turned me through the tri-oval. And I slipped him up high just to let him know I was mad. And, you know, I didn't try to wreck, didn't run him in the wall or nothing. Then he tried to wreck me after the caution there. I think he's a little upset.
Yeah, I'd say he might have been a little upset, but tempers will flare periodically. This is a 10-lap shootout. You said you were going to take the gloves off and go bare knuckles, and that's what happened.
Well, I hate that happened, but the man hit me on after we got the checkered flag. He hit me on the backstretch. I think that's a little beyond what we should have been doing.
Well, possibly it might have been, as Dale Earnhardt will climb out now $200,000 richer after winning the Winston. Well, Keith, indeed, there were some tempers flaring, and Bill, those last 10 laps were crazy. Everyone expected them to be, but they really were.
But the thing of it is, Dale spun Jeff out down there, then he come back, and then whenever I was clearly under him down there in 1 and 2, and I was plumb down on the apron. He cut down on me, and he claimed I went up on him, and I was plumb down on the apron. You know, and he cut down on me. Then we come down the front straightaway, and I was clearly under him right here, and then he cut down on me there and nearly spun himself out, and then he let me on the outside of him down the back straightaway and run me like straight in the wall.
You know, he said that he was trying to keep the lead, but it looked like you two guys were just almost both bought it here in the tri-oval area.
Yeah, but the thing of it is, I was clearly under him, and I was going on. I clearly had the quickest car. You know, he was trying to cut me off every way he could.
Do you think anybody could have run with you today the way the car ran the first 2 segments?
I don't think so. I had him covered, but, you know, that's the thing about it. If we're going to let stuff like that go, we'll see what happens next week.
What happened to the left rear tire? When did that get cut?
Well, that's when he nearly run me in the wall down there, and then it started rubbing the fender, and that's when it blew out.
Now, these kind of things happen in special events. The tempers go away during the week, and you get back to full-point racing next weekend. These things don't carry over, do they?
Well, I don't know. You know, it's time for this to stop. You know, the thing of it is, I have been not the aggressive driver all my life. You know, I've tried to give and take with the best of the things. But when a guy cuts you off that bad and that obvious, it's time to take the other cheek. You know, the thing of it is, you go out and you run as hard as you can all day long, and then him trying to cut you out to outrun it, that ain't the way I was brought up racing.
Well, indeed, a difference in philosophy here. Bill Elliott still upset, and rightfully so. Some contact those last 10 laps, and he's trying to cool off here back behind the trucks.
Well, there's 2 sides to every story. You heard Dale's side, you heard Bill's side. Let me know down in the comments how you felt about this situation. Who was right, who was wrong. I definitely think Bill was wrong on Dale spinning the 5 out. I think the 5 spun himself out. But even that, I would love to hear your opinion. And just like that, the pass in the grass was born. One of NASCAR's most legendary and iconic moments, with 2 of the sport's legends. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys in my next one. Subscribe to the channel for more NASCAR content just like this. We revisit classic races, as well as some IndyCar races and a little bit of IMSA too. And I hope to see you guys in my next one. Take care, everybody.